Kata for the sound of the bell. Mind calm, body at ease, breathing quiet, sentiment, benevolence. Dharma friends, sitting still in vital silence, wanting nothing, we practice eco-Buddhism together. The sound of the temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict. May the way of Buddha usher in the dawn of nonviolent global village forever. Here's the after sound of the bell. Thunder of silence, light after Dharma rain. Om Maga Varochana Mahamudra Mamipada Javala Prabhataya Hum.
Please stand and join in chanting of the three refuges. We will first take refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha in Sino-Korean and then in English. So please throw your voice in as best you can. And now in English, I go for refuge to the Buddha.
I go for refuge to the Buddha.
And resolve with all beings.
And resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment.
And realize the great way.
And realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma.
I go for refuge to the Dharma.
And resolve with all beings.
And resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings.
I will penetrate the teachings.
And uncover oceans of wisdom.
And uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha.
I go for refuge to the Sangha.
And resolve with all beings.
And resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many.
And transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
And transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
Please return now to your places for another shorter period of meditation. Please join me in some stretching. So good morning, dear Sangha. Please sit comfortably.
Good morning, Ma'o.
Welcome to 2026. It's nice to see so many of you here today. Attendance has been light over the past few weeks because of the holidays and many people being away. But now we are back to a full house. So the turning of the year is always a time for us to take stock. And when we do our year-end services, we first examine and release defilements, then we set intentions, and then we make resolutions. So any of you who came to one of our two services would have seen this taking place. So by defilements, we mean awareness and release of past unskillful things that we have done. Intentions, sort of checking in with our deepest aspirations. And then resolutions is forming conscious goals so that we can live in alignment with our deepest wishes. So our New Year's Day service in particular is about making resolutions, this forming of conscious goals. So one example of a resolution that I came up with was to nurture more flexibility. This is important to me personally because this is a year of transition. I'm stepping away from this position of Joel Rector that I have held for the past 4 years, and I'll be stepping away from that in June. So it's important to cultivate flexibility. But then what happened? So I made this resolution, and then immediately I fell off. Has this ever happened to you? This is what happens with resolutions. So then I notice, for example, this morning we're preparing our temple schedule for next week. And we share duties, those of us who live here. And one of my habitual patterns is, well, if there's any gap in the schedule, I'm the one who has to fill it. So this is part of my identity is I see myself as a responsible person. The buck always stops here, but you can take that to an extreme. And the consequence maybe of that responsibility, that thinking that I have to cover it, is that then others don't get a chance to step up and learn new things and do new things. So I kind of need to release this thought pattern that I have. I am responsible in order to become more flexible. So, and behind that responsibility may be this hidden sort of hindrance, this hindrance being that I expect to get my own way about things, and I expect others to do my wishes. And those are not healthy kinds of things. Yeah. So when we make these resolutions, even while we're making them, we recognize that part of the Buddhist path is that we fall down and get up, fall down and get up, and we do this many times. And also part of making resolutions is to start from a place of acceptance of where we are at. So if I had said to myself, I've made this resolution to be more flexible, and so that means that starting today, I have to be a different person than I am. That doesn't work so well. I have to first recognize what my habitual patterns are, sort of starting with where we are. That's another part of making the resolutions. Often during the New Year's Day service, we read 10 guides along the path. And in a moment, we'll be passing those out so that we can all look at them together. Let me give you a little background on this. 10 guides along the path. It's a way of recognizing and dealing with these habitual patterns. You could call them hindrances. And it was composed by a very famous Korean monk called Kyung Ho. He lived from 1849 to 1912. He's a very charismatic, dynamic personality, almost a folk hero in Korea. And he helped Korean Buddhism a great deal because it was recovering from a long period of repression. And so he really helped to bring it back. He grew up himself in a monastery, and the reason for that was his father died when he was 9 years old. His mother needed to support the family. And in Korea, one way that happens is for the female head of household now goes to serve as an attendant in the monastery. So that's how he came to be in the monastery. And as he grew up, he began practicing, and the monks recognized that this is a person of great potential. So he turned out he had a very adept student. And so he not only learned about Buddhism, but he learned all about Confucianism and Taoism, the three main philosophical religious traditions at the time. And at the age of 23, he was ordained as a national lecturer, very young age, for that to happen. So he, at one point, early then in his career, I'll begin reading from the tale. This is called Thousand Peaks, and it has a lot of tales of our famous Korean ancestors. So in 1879, when he was 30 years old, Kyung-ho decided to visit his old teacher, Keiho, whom he had not seen in a long time, and for whom he retained a great deal of affection. So he started walking on his journey to Seoul, and on his way, he passed a small village. There were no people in the streets. Immediately, he knew something was wrong, and he began to feel an overwhelming sense of disaster. He knocked on the door of a house, and finding no answer, opened the door. There were 5 corpses on the floor in various stages of decomposition. He opened the door of the next house, and there were more corpses. As he walked through the main street, dazed and terrified, he noticed a sign, "Danger, cholera. If you value your life, go away." The sign struck Kyung-ho like a hammer. He recognized his own fear and thought, "I'm supposed to be a great sutra master. I already understand all the Buddha's teachings. Why am I so afraid? Even though I understand that all these things are transient, that life and death are aspects of the one reality, I'm very attached to my body. So life is a hindrance and death is a hindrance. What can I do?" So this is like saying, oh, the resolution didn't work. What can I do? Rather than continue on his way to Seoul, he turned back and returned to his temple. He announced to all his students, he summoned all his students and said, "You have all come here to study the sutras, and I have been teaching you, but I know now that the sutras are only a Buddha's words. They are not the Buddha's minds. As many sutras as I have mastered, I still haven't attained true understanding. I can't teach you anymore. If you wish to continue your studies, there are many qualified sutra masters who will be glad to teach you. But I have decided to understand my true self, and I will not teach again until I attain enlightenment." So Kyung-ho locked himself into his room, and he had a student bringing him food. And for several months, he did intensive meditation practice. And then this student who was helping him went to the market one day, and he met a certain Mr. Lee, who was a close friend of Kyung-ho's. Mr. Lee asked, "How's your master doing nowadays?" The student narrated Kyung-ho's great vow. He's doing hard training. He only eats, sits, and lies down. If he just eats, sits, and lies down, he will be reborn as a cow. The student got very angry. "How can you say that? My teacher is the greatest scholar in Korea. I'm positive he will go to heaven after he dies." Mr. Lee said, "That's no way to answer me." "Why not? How should I have answered?" "I would have said, if my teacher is reborn as a cow, he will be a cow with no nostrils." So this student went back and reported this interaction to Kyung Ho. And then Kyung Ho got all excited. He kicked open the door and came running out. "That's it, the cow with no nostrils." And so he started dancing around cheerfully. And this moment of awakening, if you think about what is a cow with no nostrils? It's a being that cannot be led around by their old thought patterns and habits. And so this felt very liberating to him. And he was then able to go back, teach for many years, both laypersons and monks, and offer his wisdom of how to, well, one of the themes in his teachings was how to sort of live without hindrance. So he had many famous sayings. And one of the things that he left for us that's still very much treasured in Korean Zen today is these 10 guides along the path. And so now we're going to pass them out. I don't have quite enough copies for everyone, so if a few of you could share. And once they're passed out, we'll take a look at them and see how maybe they can help us when we're working with our habitual thought patterns. Okay, so does everybody have a copy? Does anybody raise your hand if you're without? So this whole row is without. Can we pass one copy back to that row? Thank you. Are there any other extras? Okay, so as we read through these, you'll notice that they have a certain pattern. So the first part is identification of your thought pattern. The second part is naming the consequence of that thought pattern. And then the third is coming up with an antidote. So I'll read these, we'll pause after each and see if you can recognize yourself in any of these. 10 guides along the path. Number 1, don't hope for perfect health. Perfect health only leads to greater greed. Treat illness as medicine, not disease. Number 2, don't long for a life free from hardship. Such a life leads only to haughtiness and self-pampering. Make worries and hardships a way of life. Number 3, don't hope for a lack of impediments in your study. Release is hiding right behind obstructions. So spoke the enlightened one. Number 4, don't hope for a lack of temptations in your training. A lack of temptations will only serve to soften your resolve. Treat temptations as friends who are helping you along the path. So spoke the enlightened one. Number 5, don't hope for easy success. Easy accomplishment only leads to increased rashness. Accomplish through difficulties. So spoke the enlightened one. Number 6, don't hope to get your own way with friends. Having friends give in to your wishes only leads to arrogance. Make long-term friends through compromise in your relationship. So spoke the enlightened one. Number 7, don't expect people to follow your wishes or commands. This too leads to arrogance. Consider those who differ with you to be your character builders. So spoke the enlightened one. Number 8, don't expect rewards for your kindness. This only leads to a scheming mind. Throw out expectation of rewards like you throw out old shoes. So spoke the enlightened one. Number 9, don't expect more out of life than you deserve. Exaggerated profit seeking leads only to foolishness. Become rich at heart with small amounts. Number 10, don't complain about vexations. This leads only to resentment and poison in the heart. Consider vexations as the first door on the path. So spoke the enlightened one. So as we look at these 10 guides, I'm curious if any of them, if maybe one of them jumped out at you or got you thinking about your thought patterns and how you might want to change it. So if I were to start like with my example of responsibility, maybe it's closest to don't expect people to follow your wishes or commands. This leads to lack of flexibility. This is how I might word it. And so treat responsibilities as an opportunity to develop trust in others. So you might make up your own sort of guide using this pattern that we have laid out in front of us. So I would like now to pass the microphone, and if one of these resonates with you in particular, I would love to hear your example. Yeah.
Good morning.
And say your names, please.
I am Sam Bodhi, and I also am called Alex. The one that jumped out at me was number 8, but mostly because I got a lot of old shoes to throw out also.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. It's Rachel /Gokja, since we're doing both names today. The one that stood out the most to me was the first one. It was kind of like that hit of enlightenment when he hears about the cow with no nostrils, about hoping for perfect health. I've been chronically ill for the past 10 plus years. That was part of what led me to Buddhism, trying to discern what I can control, what's within my control, what's my underlying disease, and how much of it is how I think about it and the stories that I tell myself. So I think I've been thinking a lot about like clinically the concept of like narrative medicine and how our stories and our beliefs of like what we tell ourselves, what society tells us about, you know, our health and what perfect health looks like or a good life looks like impacts how we deal with suffering of illness. So thank you all.
I'm Hillary. Number 2 stuck out to me. I recently had a conversation. We were talking about people's willingness and unwillingness to be charitable. And I had noticed that a lot of people who had dealt with hardships and struggles were far more willing to be charitable, even when they had less. So I became very grateful for the hardships I had had because I find myself more willing to help when it's necessary.
In the back.
I'm Pummy or Jackie, and I am at an age where things are starting to, little things at this point are starting to come up. I had heard that when you get into your 60s, things start to fall apart. And I thought, oh, well, that's not going to happen to me. But little things are falling apart. And so the first one, don't hope for perfect health. That only leads to greater greed. Treat illness as medicine and not disease. That one really jumped out at me because I worry a lot. You know, littlest things come up and I really start to worry about them and think, oh, that's about the most horrible thing that can happen to me if I were to get sick or if I were to die. That would be the worst thing. And, you know, of course I'm going to die. So that spoke to me. And, you know, I think I would have greater ease if I could have greater equanimity about things no longer having really almost perfect health.
My name is Alex, and what resonated with me was don't expect people to follow your wishes or commands. This too leads to arrogance. Consider those who differ with you to be your character builders. I feel mostly sick and suffering. It shows up in control and sadness and depression. And so this just really resonated with me. It's also what has led me to be here today again. So having kids and a husband, I find myself tried with this every day. And I'm grateful to be here as a reprieve and reminder that this is an opportunity for building character. And I forget to learn from others, to look at the things that bother me and other people or them not doing what I want them to do as signs of my own opportunity to be more at peace. So it festers and it makes me sick.
Good morning. My name is Young Child. And what stood out to me was 7, 8, and 9. Mm-hmm. My teacher told me decades ago when I began my meditation practice, he said, young child, learn to live without expectations. He said, when nothing is expected, nothing can come unexpected. And I learned to live like that, to see and accept things just as they are. And the one that speaks about the kindness to others, he said, the more we give to others unconditionally, the more we get to give. and we end up with an inexhaustible treasure of spirituality. I'm like the young lady right sitting straight across from me. I'm in my 70s, and things do fall apart. See, and I learned to accept that this is just a lifetime in life. And my only resolution for New Year's is to live the life as an awakened human being. Thank you.
My name is Nogochu, or Bob on the Street, and I think my favorite part is the very end of part 10 where it says, consider vexations as the first door on the path. Let me tell you about my week. Okay. Monday morning at 6 a.m., my furnace died, okay, and was replaced Friday by 2 p.m. So we had no heat at all in my house. Fortunately, we have a few space heaters and managed to get through the week, but it was not the right temperature to have your furnace die. Second problem I had is, I suppose that has something to do with the climate. I developed a very strange thing that's never happened to me, and that's an out-of-control nosebleed, which just went on for about 45 minutes. Eventually, my wife called, it's embarrassing to say it, but I was taken by ambulance to an emergency ward for a bloody nose. Okay, where it was all corrected and I was sent home and I figured out what was wrong there. And then yesterday, I got a call from an attorney subpoenaing me to testify at a trial for a crime I had witnessed about a year ago here in town. So vexations are the first door on the path. I'm well on the road, and I guess right here is the place to be. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, aka Goggle. And just an observation. So I felt like numbers 2 through 10 were great. They resonated with me, and especially like 2 and 9. But then, 2025 was a bad year. You know, I have cancer, and I had months of radiation and months of chemo. So like feeling very sick. So number 1, I have a block. It started to make me think, but I still have, even like right now, I've got like a physical reaction to it. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that.
It's over here.
Hi, I'm John. It's my first time here, so I don't have a cool name yet. But I think number 4, the don't hope for a lack of temptations in your training, spoke out to me. I was having a pretty hard time about like 6 months ago. Lived in Ann Arbor for like 4.5-ish years. I ended up moving back to my hometown in like rural Michigan. Really got my stuff together a little bit. I was out meditating in like cornfields. It was great. But now I just moved back like a week ago. So I've been like very anxious, to fall back into those old habits and things like that. So I like keeping that in mind, that even though, it's a little harder now that I'm back in this environment, it's also a really good test to help build strength.
Hi, I'm Keith. Like many of you, number 1 really resonated with me. This year, I actually I was coming back from a road trip in late August, and I had a emergency medical issue, a tumor in my brain that I didn't know existed. It hemorrhaged and had kind of halted my trip and really affected the rest of my fall. I really couldn't do anything. And that whole process, prior to that, I felt like my practice had really stagnated, and kind of being forced to not do anything for 2 months really forced me to focus on the things that I could control. And one of those was my meditation practice, slowing down, being grateful for people around me who were supporting me and helping me. And it really put things into perspective. It's, being someone in my mid 30s who hadn't really had one of those experiences before this year, you get almost numb to that. And I think having that experience it was certainly life-changing, but also, I would say, in a very good way.
Hi, I'm Ty. I really resonated with number 2, don't long for a life free from hardship, because in my workplace, it requires me to be very quick at serving customers, otherwise they get very upset. And so I ask myself nearly every day, how can I make my job easier? And I do so by making myself faster, and almost every time in the process, I make it harder. But then it leads myself to asking myself in my own daily life, how can I make this more efficient or faster or this or that? And I see it a lot in my personal life of my friends, family, and relationship, where I lose that touch of being human. It's probably not what it meant, but that's what I took from it.
My name is Tegwin. That is the name that I use on the streets, although it sounds like a fun one from here. I also resonated with number 2 totally differently. Don't long for a life free from hardship. Make worries and hardships a way of life. There was a time in my life when I was very politically active in systemic ways, and also in working with people who were really, really the most disenfranchised people in our local communities. And I got really overwhelmed doing that work. And I had some changes in my living situations and my relationships, and I stepped way back from it. And it felt easy for a while, but I've been looking around recently at the people in my life and the way that I'm living, and such a life only leads to haughtiness and self-pampering. I read that and I was like, oh, is that what's going on? And thinking about where we are in the world right now and the call, I think, that I've been feeling to live a more politically engaged life and to invite the people who I am close with into that life as well in the ways that work for them. I think the call to make worries and hardship a way of life in some ways feels like an invitation and a welcome into something that can be really scary. And having that be a guide along the path makes that less so.
My friend Todd here next to me made me realize something on number 2. Don't long for a life free from hardship. 15 years ago, I retired from my job, and I had this perception of what retirement is supposed to look like. And I end up getting another job. And that job, I'm speaking to the older guy, that job was avoiding my wife. Because every time she see me, she got work for me, man. So that shattered my perception of what retirement is supposed to look like. So he reminded me of that. I can't be free from hardship. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, like so many here today, the first one jumped out at me as well, especially the part that says, treat illness as medicine, not disease. And that resonated with me. It resonated with other teachings that I've encountered in areas like process work, process-oriented psychology, where they talk about things like body symptoms are ways that the system is seeking equilibrium. And so when we are in dis-ease, it's an opportunity to give ourselves something that we maybe haven't been giving ourselves. I could use examples from my own life, but the one that really jumps out at me in this moment is I know someone who had a brain bleed over the summer, TBI, traumatic brain injury. And she's still very much in recovery. And she really identified as someone who is like a go-getter. Yes. Someone asked her to do something, she's going to say yes. She's going to take on any challenges that come her way and be very active. Yeah, tracking things, orienting things, people. And she's not able to do that anymore. You know, that's just not her life in this time. And she's said to me, you know, I'm learning how to say no for the first time in my life. And of course, saying no to things outside of us, to requests, to others' demands, is also saying yes to ourselves.
Okay, thank you so much for your wisdom. As always, it's a privilege to be able to give a Dharma talk because it's just a learning opportunity, and I learn way more than I give. So thank you very much. Let's conclude. Oh, and you are welcome to take these guides with you. If you didn't get one and you want one, just leave us your email and I'll send one to you. Let's close with the 4 great vows. All beings, one body.
All beings, one body.
I vow to liberate.
I vow to liberate.
Blind passions, one root.
Blind passions, one root.
I vow to terminate.
I vow to terminate.
Dharma gates, one mind.
Dharma gates, one mind.
I vow to penetrate.
I vow to penetrate.
The great way of Buddha.
The great way of Buddha.
I vow to realize.
I vow to realize.
Okay, announcements, please.
Good morning. My name is Sangui, and I am going to read these announcements in this order. Who is new today? Who is first? Oh, it's okay. There it is. Raise your hands up high so we can see you. Thank you for coming. Here are several bullet points that are immediate and some are a little long-term. You know that every Sunday now we are at 10 o'clock, and families are especially welcome every second Sunday. Okay. So if you've not been with your children or friends have children, it's a very interesting practice, and we split the group and just come. Next one is January 11. Typically on Saturdays, unless otherwise noted, Saturday 3 to 5, we have Together Action, where we gather outside or inside to take care of the grounds of the temple in various ways. Plants, everything that needs to be done, we always can use the help. Okay, 2 special events coming on January 23rd at 8 p.m. Come and meditate to awaken your true nature and be inspired by Shakyamuni Buddha, who sat underneath the Bodhi tree and came to freedom. This is an all-night sitting that ends at 4 a.m. on January 24th. You can come in 2-hour increments, so 8 to 10, 10 to 12, and right, and 12 to 2 and 2 to 4. So on the 18th, we'll be offering our first, I can't pronounce this,
Upasata
observance. And this is the first time this is happening. This is a special service, is an opportunity to open your hearts, unburden ourselves of guilt, and strengthen our ongoing relationships with the Buddhist precepts. At the 10 a.m. service on January 18th, it'll be held by Mosamsam, one of our other Dharma teachers. And the Dharma talk will focus on the history and meaning of this tradition. Following that the January service, we plan on offering it on an ongoing basis on the 3rd Sunday of every month. Our regular temple classes resume this week. Yoga with David Black meets Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. in this room right here in the Buddha Hall.
So just checking, those of you who go to yoga, do you know if it's resuming this week?
Haven't heard.
Okay, so we don't know that for sure.
Okay.
So if you're interested in yoga, please leave your name and we'll call and let you know if it's happening on Tuesday.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. Ongoing with Qigong with Samata Cyrus Show. Raise your hand, please. Monday nights it gathers here at 6:30. So if you've not done that practice, you may enjoy that as well. Our 5 Thursday evening meditation class starts on the 8th this coming week, 6:30 to 8 on Thursday evenings. It's an intro class. So those of you who have a practice or want to start a practice and renew it, come to that. This course includes simple stretching, work with the breath, meditation postures. Some include sitting in a chair on a cushion. So you get a lot of good instruction, concentration, and mindfulness practice, everything you need to know to support your own home practice. We also offer the same instruction in a condensed overnight format, Friday evening at 7 p.m. through Saturday at noon. This version includes an overnight stay and the temple breakfast, and that will take place overnight, February 6th and 7th. Further details on all these classes, you can talk to those of us who are wearing the grays. There's sign up in the foyer, and online there's information as well. Our online Sangha meets every Sunday night from 7 p.m. to 8:30. This service joins practitioners from all of these temples, Toronto, Ann Arbor, and New York, and those living at a distance. The Zoom link is located on our website. The temple is supported entirely by your contributions. There is a fishbowl outside the door you came in to this room, and monetary donations, as well as a device for electronic contributions. Iljong, are you meeting today?
Yes, I know for sure that Recovery Dharma will be meeting today, so you don't have to leave your phone number. They will be meeting at noon in the historic Buddha Hall. Big yellow house next door.
Yeah. So thank you all for being here today.
Will there be tea?
Yes, tea is being brewed out in the foyer as well. So join us for tea. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's all stand, straighten our mats and cushions, and we'll make 3 formal bows. Just facing the altar, feeling your feet connecting with the earth beneath you. Nice deep breath. I would like to ask now your assistants. Our together action today is putting away mats and cushions in preparation for alternative uses of this space. If your mat and cushion touches the carpet, leave it where it is. If it's on the outside rows, mats and cushions go on this stage over here. And on this side of the room closest to the door, they get stacked back in the corner. So as you create the stack of mats separate and the cushions go on the shelves, try to create a stable stack that does not fall over. Thank you.